I'm hot, but your car is not. These are the top 3 reasons why.
Another reason why. The hot thing or the cold thing?
The hot thing or the cold thing?
Hot thing or the cold thing?
Wake up.
Yep. Wake up.
It works sometimes.
Make it cold.
Get all your auto parts at 1aauto.com. We'll ship them to you fast and free, and we have thousands of videos to help you with your installs.
Greetings, viewers. Eric the Car Guy here with
Andy from 1A Auto.
And today we're going to walk you through the hot and cold sides of the AC system.
I'm working on the hot.
I'm working on the cold. Let's get started.
I'm hot, but your car is not. These are the top 3 reasons why. The number 1 reason I've seen for no heat is a lack of flow. The heater core could be clogged, allowing no flow, and that's not going to give you any heat. Or you could have the opposite problem, is too much flow, and that's going to be due to a stuck open thermostat. If the engine's not hot, your heater's not going to be hot. Some of the reasons why we might have air in the system is you have leaks or someone just recently serviced something in the system. You could have a leak in the water pump or the radiator. Same with someone replacing either of those components. They didn't bleed the air out of the system after the service. All of these things can cause air to get into the coolant system. Another reason why we wouldn't have heat is the blend door. It's not going to allow the airflow to go past the heater core.
I'm glad you mentioned that because that can also affect the AC operation. So if that blend door is not directing air past the evaporator, which has the cold inside of it, then it's never going to get cold out of your vents.
Exactly. It's going to be the same.
Same is true for heat, I guess.
Heat.
So blend doors and airflow are important.
You just need to get the airflow past that hot thing or the cold thing.
You also mentioned the heater core.
Yeah.
And flushing out the heater core, stuff like that. Somebody goes to flush the heater core out. Maybe they're successful in that, but they never bleed the air out of the system and they still don't have heat.
Yeah.
And they wonder why.
And they probably think that they still didn't get all the junk out of the heater core, and it's really just they needed to top off their coolant system.
Or it could be an air in the system the whole time.
Yeah,
I see that
true.
so often.
Yeah.
Which, as you pointed out, could be a leak of water pump, radiator, just about anywhere in the system. Even the heater core itself.
Exactly.
That could also leak.
Yeah, I've had many of those.
I'm Eric the Car Guy here for 1A Auto, where they can ship you parts fast and free. Now, I may not be as hot as my partner Andy in this video. However, I'm going to be covering the cool side of things with air conditioning. As far as air conditioning problems, what I've seen is the refrigerant gets low, normally because of some sort of leak. And I think it's a good idea here to introduce you to all the major components in the AC system and show you where those leaks might happen. The compressor is the heart of the AC system. If this isn't working, nothing is working because it's responsible for removing refrigerant throughout the entire system. There's 2 parts to the compressor. There's the inner compressor part itself, which you can think of as kind of like a mini engine with pistons and everything on the inside. That helps move the refrigerant around. On the outside is the compressor clutch. When this engages, the compressor is actually engaged and those little pistons on the inside are moving. When it's disengaged, nothing is happening. That belt is just freewheeling around. There could be a problem with that compressor clutch not engaging properly or not engaging enough. If that's the case, the compressor will not be able to move sufficient refrigerant through the system and it won't work like it should. In the very front of the vehicle, even before the radiator, is the condenser. And this is an important component within the AC system. However, it's right out here out front. It's exposed to all the road debris and things that can come up and hit it and possibly cause a leak. If there is a leak on the condenser, many times what I see is a giant oil stain around where that leak is, so they can be somewhat easy to find if your condenser is leaking. Where the cold happens is in the evaporator, and that lives inside of your dashboard in the HVAC system. There's a fan inside the system that's going to blow air past that cold thing, and it's going to take that cold and blow it through the entire system and cool you down on a hot summer day. This component on this vehicle is the accumulator, and what it does is it's filled with stuff. They call it a desiccant, and it basically takes moisture out of the system. Any moisture inside of your AC system is going to compromise its efficiency. It's not going to work as well. In fact, whenever we service AC systems, we put a vacuum on the system to remove any moisture that might be in it, or if we're doing any major repairs on an AC system, we usually replace this component so that it's brand new and able to absorb as much moisture as it can. Now, it can be in a form of an accumulator like this one here, or if it's on the high side, it would be called a receiver dryer and usually be located up by the condenser. Another important part of the AC system is the restriction, and this could also come in a few forms. In this vehicle, they use what they call an orifice tube. So in other words, it's a small hole that they're forcing the high pressure refrigerant through. On the other side, it turns into a low pressure. That's the essence of how your AC system works. I've also seen what is called an expansion valve, and that expansion valve does the exact same thing, but it regulates that orifice in order to regulate the amount of cold in the system. If there's a problem here, refrigerant is not going to be able to work efficiently, and it won't be cold like you want it to. Another very important component to the system is right in the outside of this accumulator, and that is the pressure switch. The system monitors its own pressure to regulate the operation. It doesn't want to get too cold and ice up, and it doesn't want to be too warm so it doesn't get you cool enough. It does this through this pressure switch, which helps work the compressor. This gets me to a point I kind of wanted to make in this part of the video.
Sure.
When you're topping off the system yourself with those little cans from the auto parts store, you're not doing anything to address the moisture that's possibly getting into that system.
Not putting a vacuum on it.
And that could cause corrosion, that could cause restrictions. Remember, this whole system works on this really tiny orifice that we're trying to go from high pressure to low pressure. If there's a restriction there, then it's not going to work efficiently, if at all.
Exactly.
Another thing, low refrigerant. So in other words, the system will engage and it'll work, but it won't work very well. Or I've also seen this sometimes on those vehicles that have dual climate control, like you have one side for the driver, one side for the passenger.
Sure.
I've seen it give like the passenger AC, but not the driver. So the AC system is working, it's just not working enough to give you enough cold inside of that evaporator inside of the dash to spread throughout the passenger compartment and make you cool. So the essence of it is, there has to be refrigerant in the system, no moisture, and lastly, there needs to be airflow inside the HVAC system. So if your blower motor isn't working, which isn't directly connected to the system, but if it's not blowing air past that evaporator, you don't get any cold.
Exactly.
Those are like the main things that I've seen.
I've seen sometimes on the pressure switch, if you have a pressure switch that could possibly be bad, you just take a little wrench and just tap on the pressure switch and the AC system works.
That's a really easy diagnosis.
Quick, easy
that you
tip
can do.
check.
So yeah, if that pressure switch is not activating like it should,
Exactly.
the system's not going to work because the compressor, once again, is not going to engage.
Exactly.
No coolant flow in the system or no refrigerant flow in the system, no cooling out the vents.
Exactly, yeah. Just give it a little tap.
Wake up.
Yep.
Wake up.
It works sometimes.
Make it cold. That was fun, Andy.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
I think we've educated the viewers a bit more on problems with their HVAC system, whether it's the AC or the heating.
Exactly, yeah.
And if they need more information,
They can get that in the description.
yeah, well, I think you've made
out.
some videos and I've made some videos that could probably help the viewers.
Absolutely.
So don't forget about that. Also, big thanks to 1A for having me here. I really enjoyed being here and working with you today, Andy.
You're welcome. Thanks for watching.
Be safe, have fun, stay dirty.